Warning, the podcast you're about to listen to contains graphic content. Listener discretion is advised. Bad Taste Podcast. All right, that was a scream test. If you're still here, you're a real one. You're a real listener. I fucking love you. Welcome to the Bad Taste Pod 666. I'm Jimmy Pukes. Hello. Welcome to the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, Part Deuce, my dudes. Sorry about that scream test. You're probably like, what the fuck? My ears are bleeding. I'm fucking dying. My head exploded. My bad, yo. I'm trying to weed out the non-listeners. The people who don't want to actually listen. If they pass that scream test, then they're fucking in for life. You have made a contract with Scabby Man to listen to every episode now. He will enter your dreams. He'll do it. Let's do a fucking dab. Hell yeah, dude. Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, Part 2. Shit, man. So where are we at? We got fucking missing heads. We got torsos. We got balls. We got hams. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy, bro. Hell yeah. Let's do a pretty gnarly fucking size dab. Let's do a Mad Butcher size dab. Pretty big one. Let's go. Alright. Gang gang. Yes. Hail Scabby Man. Alright. Let's fucking hop into this shit, bruh. So when we last left off, we were at 7 bodies. Technically 6 because one of the heads belonged to one of the bodies, if you remember. So we're technically at 6 bodies. So, enter Elliot Ness, man. You might have heard of homie. I know you have. Come on, Al Capone. Prohibition. Booze. Chicago. The Untouchables. Kevin Costner. All those things. So the mayor of Cleveland, man, he hits up dude and he's like, man, he's that dude. He's that freaking dude. He is him. We need him on this case. So he hits up Elliot Ness and he's like, man, out of all the torsos that had to walk into my office, you had to be this torso in my office. And of all the nights, it had to be tonight. You know what I'm trying to do. I can't do it. I watched a video trying to practice, I'll listen to Al Capone, fucking talking to try and learn. I can't do it. I can't fucking do it. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna waste your time with it. Anyway, so Elliot Ness comes through, man. He's part of the case now, and he's fucking like, what the fuck's going on with all these goddamn torsos, bro? So, fucking Elliot Ness comes through, man. He walks into the room with this fly-ass suit, one of them sick-ass hats, bro, looking like Dick Tracy. I fucking wish I had one. I wish I had that outfit. I'd be wearing it right now to, give this an air of legitimacy. Because there's no legitimacy to this podcast at all whatsoever. Just so you know. So Elliot's case is on the case now, man. 2 victims have been identified, and the rest are just fucking unidentified heads, balls, and hams, dude. You know? Elliot Ness has never worked a case like this. He's used to chasing down mobsters and having shootouts and, you know, fucking stopping booze runs. He's never really tackled a serial killer case before. He's never really approached anything like this before. So, he initially starts off his investigation by rounding up all the people of Kingsbury Run, interrogating them, LA Noire style. And I love that game. I'm making LA Noire reference because it will come into play later. I swear to God. The game, the incident, just pay attention. So, he comes into Kingsbury Run, he rounds everybody up, man. So his idea was that the Mad Butcher is probably the bottom of the barrel type person. So he gathers up all these people, all the gamblers, all the fucking prostitutes, all the fucking drug addicts. He's banging on doors, he's cracking skulls, he's taking no prisoners. And this isn't the type of investigation angle you should take towards this case, but I mean, he's doing what he knows how to do. I mean, like I say all the time, what the fuck do I know? I'm not a cop. We gotta cut Elliot Ness some slack, man, because he knows what he's doing to a certain degree. He is a very accomplished cop, you know what I mean? And he was pretty ahead of his time. So, this angle of the investigation turns up nothing except pissing the people of Kingsbury Run off. Pissing the press off. They're running all these campaigns. Elliot Ness doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, you know? Fucking people aren't wanting to talk to him anymore because of all this bullshit. But one good thing Elliot Ness did do, and this is crazy ahead of its time, is he came up with a profile for the Mad Butcher. So he posited that the Mad Butcher was a white male, strong enough to carry a human body up a hill, if not further. Also believed that they were a citizen of Kingsbury Run, and if not, they were very familiar with the area. So they possibly live there now, or have previously lived there. He posited that he had a safe place he was doing all of these places, because he was doing all these dismemberments where nobody could see or hear him, and then moving the bodies to a secondary location. So, and then, he also posited the butcher showed a small knowledge of anatomy. Now, it wasn't the level of knowledge that you would believe would be from a surgeon, like Jack the Ripper. The coroner posited that he had the anatomical knowledge of a hunter, or a butcher, a fucking butcher with a functional butcher shop and butcher tools everywhere, but I digress. And lastly, and strangely, they theorized that the Mad Butcher befriended his victims for several days, if not months at a time, before he would sneak up on them with a large, heavy knife, and then, you know, take them to his spot and dismember them. Which kind of makes sense. He also posited that it had to be someone who was known in Kingsbury Run. Because he learned firsthand, you're not just going to get a member of Kingsbury Run to just go off with you into the woods or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? They're very close-knit community, very distrustful of outsiders. You know, it's like Whitechapel in 1988, Jack the Ripper case. Those people were terrified to talk to the police, or terrified to talk about the case at all whatsoever. You know? The difference being that Jack caught you in a fucking back of an alley in the middle of the night in the darkness, and the Mad Butcher was fucking dismembering people in the woods in the middle of the fucking day, like a madman. Now, maybe he wasn't the best man for this job, but he was an amazing cop and took down the largest gangster of our time. But he's trying to bring logic into an illogical situation. He's trying to use logical tactics to find a literal insane person. He's the Mad Butcher. He's not the happy butcher. He's not the logical butcher. He's the Mad Butcher. Like, he's cuckoo crazy for Cocoa Puffs, man. Like, he's decapitating people in the woods, butt naked. You know, he's probably not naked. He's probably wearing clothes, but it's fun to think that he might be naked, right? It's kind of funny to think about he might be naked. Who cares? So he has the idea, man, you know what? Let's just arrest everybody. Let's arrest everybody for all the crimes, for everything. If somebody litters, let's arrest them. If somebody sneezes too loud, let's arrest them. And he really did. He started coming down on all the prostitutes, all the dealers, all the users. Every little infraction, people were getting arrested left and right. Like, what a fucking buzzkill, right? Like, all that stuff's awesome, you know? But you gotta understand, dude, he was trying to find a murderer. He's thinking that this guy is probably the bottom of the barrel of society type dude. But in reality, he's probably a regular guy. Probably a family man. Maybe a doctor. Maybe a butcher. He could be anyone. So investigators have already been working on this case for 2 years. And they are not impressed with Elliot. They're like, what are you doing, man? What is my man's doing? Excuse me. Because even though they really weren't making any headway themselves, Elliot was just kind of coming in and fucking making it harder and fucking everything up for everybody, bro. But to his credit, you know, he's used to dealing with fucking evil criminals who do crimes for profit. Like these mobsters, they committed horrible murders and stuff, but they did it for business and for profit. The Mad Butcher kills because he thinks it's fun, you know? And that's hard to look for, especially in the 1930s. So, Elliot Ness tried his shit, man, and it's not working. He's tried interrogating everybody, he tried arresting everybody, but he's not getting any traction. So, this other guy, Officer Peter Morello, Big Shot Peter Morello, my guy, he was the guy who's been working on this case. He's been working the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run case for 2 years, and he's not that fond of Elliot Ness. But he was the longest running detective on this case, and he decided, you know what? We got to do something big, man. We got to do something wild. So Big Shot Peter decides he's going to go undercover in Kingsbury Run with all the hookers and gamblers and drug addicts, and he's going to find out firsthand who the fuck the Mad Butcher is. He's going to find him, dude. So now, listener, I know you have an idea in your head what like a 1930s guy looks like. You know, they have the suit, they got the hat, they're in Kingsbury Run, so maybe they're a little dirty, but, you know, they look fucking fly. And you would be correct. That was the style then, man. It was mostly fucking fresh outfits. But my man Big Shot Peter decided what he was gonna wear was a baggy fucking suit. He grew out a 5 o'clock shadow. He covered himself in dirt. Had one of them little tiny bowler hats. One of them really fucking real tiny ones. There's a picture. I'll post it. And he had a stick with a handkerchief tied to it, like a fucking hobo clown, bro. Like literally a fucking hobo clown. And I guess he thought that this would work, that, you know, he would fucking be able to figure out who the Mad Butcher was, but he's walking around like fucking Johnny Appleseed or some shit. Like, it's kind of on the nose. Kind of offensive. Clown nose, clown shoes. Like, dude was a fucking clown. And if you're wondering, did it work? No, the fuck it didn't. Everybody knew that he was some fucking random guy dressed like a weirdo for no reason. Most likely a cop, and nobody gave him any information or any time of day. Shocking, right? Homie didn't crack the case with his 21 Jump Street bullshit. Like, it didn't work, man. He really thought he did something there. He really fucking did. I mean, my man interviewed hundreds of people in Kingsbury Run for a 3-month period and still came out with nothing. So fast forward, February 1937, a dude named Robert Smith walking down Erie Shore. He's a sailor. He's gonna go check on his boat, do some boat stuff, do some boat things, you know. But just like my man Frank and my friend Joe, my homie Robert spotted some craziness floating by the front of the shore next to his boat. And he thinks, man, that's a gnarly looking piece of driftwood. I'm gonna walk up and check it out. And as he got closer, he noticed that this was no dang driftwood. It was the headless torso of a woman. A whole new body, people. We're at number 7. This is why the guy... What's up with guys thinking that body people... What's up with people in this show, or in this episode, thinking that bodies are other things, like hams, driftwood, whatever, man. It's fucking madness. It's crazy. So my man Robert calls the cops. First thing you notice is this site is way further away from any of the other dumping grounds that we've seen in the Mad Butcher case. At least 10 to 15 miles further away from where any other body had been found. So this upper torso, which was missing its head and both of its arms, was sent to the coroner for examination. Examination. Examinate. I need you to examinate this here body, Clyde. I'm the medical examiner. Son of a bitch, dog. So the medical examiner, I'm kidding. The medical examiner reviewed the body. He determined that this woman would be between 25 and 30 years old. And the cuts, in his opinion, were made by a large cutting tool, something sharp, possibly a large knife or some kind of saw. Every single cut had hesitation marks associated with it, as we saw before in one of the other bodies. Hesitation marks, for those who don't know, is exactly what it sounds like. It's, instead of directly cutting into something, he initially started to cut and then stopped, then started and then stopped, then started again. It's that. This one had more than, this one was more unusual than usual. It was strange. This was the first victim of the Mad Butcher that was not killed by decapitation. Don't get me wrong, she was decapitated for sure. Like, that's not how she died. They determined that her heart stopped before the head was removed. But, I mean, you could probably attribute that to a cardiac arrest, but who knows? Like I said, I'm not a fucking doctor. I'm not a fucking cop. I'm just a fucking asshole. One thing I read is that some people believe that this is an actual victim of a Mad Butcher, but a copycat. Because it's not always, you know, it's a lot sloppier than the Mad Butcher's style, which I don't agree with, because his style is sloppy. He's sloppy style. If he was a skater, you know how there's goofy style and skater? If Mad Butcher was a skater, he'd be sloppy style. That's his thing. They like to say it's different because of all the hesitation marks, but you see later on, there's a lot more bodies with a lot more hesitation marks. And, there was no newspapers, there were no bloody clothes, or any of the other stuff we see in the Mad Butcher victims. But here we are. I'm thinking he probably noticed all the detectives, and, you know, Elliot Ness, and fucking old boy in his fucking hobo clown outfit, and was like, man, I gotta take my shit further than Kingsbury Run, because they're sneaking up on me, bro. But, you know, a hesitation mark could be anything as simple as he's taking a break in between cuts. You know, or a whole nother thing that alludes to a suspect that you'll find towards the end of this episode. It's fucking wild. But I think it's him, because what are the chances that there's two Mad Butchers doing the same Mad Butchering at the same time in the same place? I mean, I don't know. Stranger things have happened, man. Look at Los Angeles in the 70s. Alright. So it wasn't until May until the other half of this victim was located, the lower half of the torso, by a man testing his boat on Lake Erie. He found it floating in the water. He was like, what the fuck? And contacted the police, and it was determined to be the lower half of victim 6. And still no leads. Still missing her head and still missing her arms. Fast forward, June 1937. Poor 14-year-old Russell was on his way home from the movies. Now, before we jump into this is interesting to me. I want to see what movie he possibly saw in 1937. So I'm going to pull up what movies were popular then. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You think my man was watching Snow White? That'd be sick. The Awful Truth. You Only Live Once. Nice. The Grand Illusion. Heidi with fucking Shirley Temple. Maybe he saw Heidi, bro. Maybe he fucking was seeing one of those. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the other shit. So, you know, he's walking home from the movies. And, anyways, he takes a shortcut home from the normal route he normally takes. He cut through an area called Stone's Webby, right off the Cuyahoga River, and as he crossed the bridge, he saw something shiny. And he's like, ooh, let's go check that out. Maybe it's treasure. What if it's something valuable? So he starts to get closer, notices it is something valuable. It's a gold tooth. A gold tooth still attached to a human skull. Yikes. So once again, cops are called. They dig the skull out from under the bridge and they find that it is indeed detached from the rest of the body. More digging uncovered the rest of the skeletal remains in, quote, dirty, greasy burlap bags saturated with grayish white powder and held closed with a piece of rotted twine. Whoa. So the skeleton in the bag was actually a torso, believe it or not. Wow, who would have guessed? It was missing arms and legs and also had a very large piece of blackish gray tissue material cut out and a cut out newspaper. A view from a show called, where is it? Nelson T. Grantland and the Girls Show at the Palace Theater. Anyway, it had been cut from the Plains Dealer newspaper and was also near the body. They found a white hat with tassels, a dress, and a toupee. Like some dude's hairpiece. Like, what the fuck? So these remains were taken to the coroner, and at this point, he's probably like, really, bro? Imagine being this dude, and you're like only getting body parts and skeletal remains, and they're like, figure it out, dude! But the examiner turned up that this was a black female between the ages of 30 and 40 years old, tiny, around 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. And the death by decapitation was formulated as her cause of death. Horrifically, though, remember that toupee that we found? It was actually the woman's scalp with the hair still attached to it. Yeah. And the grayish black matter found in that bag was human tissue. They also believe she was killed a year prior to being found due to the decomposition of the body. So with no leads, the police just start combing through the missing persons reports in the area to see if anything would jump out. My man Peter Murillo, our undercover boy, was over actually here, the only officer to come across a missing person that matched the latest victim. Her name was Rose Wallace, and she had gone missing in August of 1936. The gold tooth was a big thing here, because they were able to identify through dental records that she in fact had gold work done. Then a relative conferred on top of all that the remains were her, even though she was like a skeleton, so that must have been rough. This was huge. Now that they finally have somewhat identified a victim, they can look into her life and see if there's any connections and any leads to who or why. So they started digging around. They found out that Rose was last seen doing laundry the day that she disappeared. She was also told by an unidentified person that a man wanted to meet her later at a bar on East 19th Street in Kingsbury Run. Somebody had seen this happen. Other witnesses say they saw her that day with a dark-skinned white man named Bob. And she was on her way to a party at Cleveland's West Side and when they last saw her. Yeah, white guy named Bob. Let's just track him down. That should be super fucking easy. This is all interesting, but it's about to get more interesting. So my big man Murillo dug a little deeper, and he was really trying to find some connections. And he found that Rose and Florence were both sex workers. And that Florence was last seen at the bar that Rose was supposedly going to meet this man at. So it's likely they knew each other, at least in passing. So check this out. This is fucking crazy. My man Peter also found out that Rose was known to hang out with a dude. Was seen around town with him and was known to be around this guy all the time. This man was only known as One-Armed Willie. One-Armed Willie, bruh. I'm not making this up. This is all facts. You can go check this out. Oh my god, like One-Armed Willie, he's that fucking guy. And it was also known that Florence hung out with One-Armed Willie as well. This all sounds great, bro, but it doesn't give them any physical evidence. All they have is hearsay about a one-armed guy that these ladies supposedly hung out with. And they couldn't even track him down, bro. How do you not find One-Armed Willie? I feel like he'd be a very distinctive character. Like, that's him. That's One-Armed Willie. That's, hey, over there. Hey, you. You with the one arm. Like, come on. But whatever. Okay, so fast forward July 1937. Only 1 month later, Patrol Officer John Smith was making his rounds. You know, he was walking down the river. That's where his beat is, down the Cuyahoga River. He was walking along the river, just being a cop, whatever. I don't know. Then he noticed something in the water. Something wafting in the waves of a tugboat. But he didn't pay no mind. At the same time, Officer Edgar Steinbacher, who was on the other side of the river, walking his beat, saw the same thing. He thought, it might be a torso. Maybe it's a torso. But nobody called anybody. Like, they both spotted this and it just went on, I don't know, it's a torso. Knowing full aware that there's a madman with a torso murderer on the fucking loose. But hours later, another officer saw a burlap sack floating in the river, and after telling the other officer about this, they all decided, maybe we should call somebody. But anyway, this scene was chaotic. They ended up pulling up so many body parts from this side of the river that it's insane. Are you ready? You ready? Ready for this. Get the body counter, get your clickers ready. Upper and lower half of a man's torso. The upper half, the upper and lower half I messed up. The upper and lower half of a man's torso, the left upper arm of a man, a right leg, a left lower leg, and the right thigh, and a piece of fucking lung. Alright. Now this is just the first day. They had to stop searching and commence the next day. And the next day, here's what they found. 2 hands, 2 forearms, and 4 days later, they found an upper right arm, and a week later, they found a left leg. And this was all in one spot of the river, bro. So, did you count? Did you use a clicker? That's 12 separate body parts, bro. 12. 12 in this one area. Not attached to anything else. Not attached to any other victims. This is all new shit, bro. So our poor coroner had his worked out cut for him. Once again, they just sent him all these body parts. Like, here, bro, figure it out. Like, it's like a fucking puzzle. Like, here, it's a body part puzzle, dude. Figure it out. And my man's like, what the fuck? Oh my God. But he had he knows his shit, man. He had his shit together. He stated that these body parts were all from the same man. A man between the ages of 30, 40, and had likely been killed 48 hours before they found him. Just 2 days. And they felt like with this body that there was much more force and aggression than we had seen in previous victims. He had cut open the bottom of the torso and pulled out everything inside of it. He also split the chest cavity and removed the heart with a clean incision across the base of the aorta. There were lots of cuts and he also said there was lots of cuts on the hands and arms indicating self-defense. And the gnarliest of all, the coroner stated that the butcher's instrument must have become dull halfway through dismemberment, but he kept on going, judging by the roughness of the cuts in other parts. Like, I know everyone out there has cut something. Like, whether you're using a knife to cut a piece of rope, or, you know, using a saw to cut a piece of board, or a hacksaw to cut a piece of pipe, you know how exhausting it can be to, like, cut and saw into something. Much less fucking something dull. This dude is pure fury. So shit's getting crazy. My man Elliot Ness is fucking freaking out. You know, Elliot and his boys in Murillo, they're all investigating and they just couldn't come up with anything. It's like the Mad Butcher was a fucking ghost. Like, all these bodies deep and all the stuff, they had nothing. And all this madness and all these body parts, arms, balls, hams, everything and all that shit happening in 1937. But for a whole year, everything goes cold. An entire year, no heads, no hams, no balls, no arms, no lungs, nothing. The closest they came to was a report towards the end of 1938, where a tugboat captain said he saw 2 burlap sacks. He tried to grab them, and he tried to pull them up, but they slipped, and they got away, and, he's on a boat doing boat stuff. He went on about his day. He reported it. Nobody investigated this. Nobody went to go check it out. There was nothing done about this. I'm thinking, dude, like a whole year had passed. They were just kind of hoping it was over, that it was done. The Mad Butcher got tired. He's taking a nap. He's hibernating for a year. They should have looked into it. They are going to regret not looking into those burlap sacks. And we're about to get into that, but first, let's do a fucking gnarly dab. Hello there. You've made it to the fucking Jimmy interlude, where we take a dab and take a break from all the gore. Consider this a palate cleanser. Yay. Man, so shit's getting crazy, right? All sorts of body parts everywhere, and we're not even done yet. There's so much more body parts to be discovered. Hope you're having a good time. I hope you're having as much fun listening as I am talking about it. I love this shit. And I'm assuming you love this shit too, because you're listening to this show. Let's get fucked up. Here we go. We do a pretty decent sized one. A pretty good one. Something gnarly for this gnarly episode. Someone said something about too much gore, and no such thing. We need more gore. We need more gore, por favor. We need more gore all the time, every time, all day. Thank you very much. This is the Gorecast. This is the Gore Podcast, Bad Taste Pod 666. Let's get stoned. Alright. Oh shit, I put more in than I meant to. Yes. Oh man, that fucked me up, dude. Holy shit. This new batch I got is fucking crazy good. Probably some of the best wax I've ever had. It's fucking amazing. Instantly fucking feel fucking stupid. And that's how you know it's good. When you get done coughing and you don't remember what you're doing in that moment, that's how you know it's good. I cough and I look down at my shit. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with all this stuff? All this paperwork and shit. Like, oh, I'm fucking recording an episode. Wild. Crazy. Oh, shit, man. That shit hurted it. Oh, no. Oh, I thought it was going to be the day. I'll tell you guys. Every episode of Vomit Radio, one of these days, man, I'm gonna fucking throw up on this podcast. And then it'll be official. Oh, God. I got a pain in my face. And I can't breathe. Oh, I got some leftovers in here. Let's torch this bitch. Yeah, boy. Damn, bro. This is a good episode. I'm having fun. I love you, Dad. I love you, Dad. I love you guys so much. You guys are my friends. Let's go. Hell, Scabby Man. Let's get back to this fucking madness. Just when you thought it was over, we're back with more bodies and more body parts. So, like I was saying, a year passed, and almost a year passed, and nothing happened. In April of 1938, that morning, my man Steve was strolling along the lake to go visit his friend. As he looked into the water, he saw something close to a storm drain that he thought was a large fish. It's not a large fish. But after a closer look, it was the bottom part of a human leg. And so they called the cops, and no, sir, it's not over yet. They searched the area and couldn't find any other body parts in the river. So they take it to the coroner, and it's like, what's he supposed to do? It's like, it's a human leg. That's what that is. It's a human leg. That's all I got. I'm sorry. He did assume it was a female leg, and he did end up finding 6 long blonde hairs stuck to the leg. And he also indicated that the cut marks on this body seemed to be real crude, as if it was a rush job, and it wasn't clean and precise as the others. So cops are working together on this, and they're at each other's throats. You think they would be working together on probably one of the most gruesome serial killer cases in the history of our time. But whatever. So Elliot starts doing his own little private shit on the side. And he said he's not so certain that the leg was a woman, that the last victim pulled out was a man, and he's missing a leg. So he's saying the coroner is wrong. But, I mean, I'm going to go with the coroner because he literally looks at bodies all fucking day. That's his job. And it didn't help that matters that there was a piece of human thigh and a burlap sack was discovered a week later. The burlap sack was open and 2 halves of the torso was found, bisected, cut in half horizontally, down the middle. 1 left foot and 1 left thigh. The coroner determined that this was also the female remains from earlier. It matched the bottom of the leg they found. The coroner was able to determine that she was killed about a week before the body parts were found in the water. He also noted that there was escalation in brutality and viciousness in this one. So he's really going for it, man. He knows that the fucking cops are zoning in on him. And, he's ramping up, man. The force and pure unadulterated rage it would take to do this is fucking mind-blowing. So check this out. He also determined, this is freaking wild, that the butcher had snapped the back ribs with his bare fucking hands. Jesus, dude. So these are the burlap bags that the captain saw that no one gave a fuck about. It had these parts in it. So, of course, the fucking case went cold again. Of course. Excuse me. Fast forward 4 months. August 1937. 3 men are searching the dump for scrap metal. One man saw what he thought was a nice coat. So he jumped in, and he was immediately struck with a horrific odor. And he saw a cloud of flies, and he was like, oh my god. And this became clear. This is a pile of human remains. So my man, Detective Murillo, showed up. He found a torso wrapped in butcher paper that was wrapped in a man's coat that was wrapped in a 3rd layer, which was a homemade quilt. They picked up that package, and underneath it was another one wrapped in the same way with rubber bands. When they opened this package, they found a couple of thighs. A few feet away, they found another package wrapped in the very same way, but this one had a human head in it. Further search of the scene revealed a homemade box made from 2 boxes put together. Inside this box were the arms and the legs. The lower legs, because the thighs were in that other package. This is fucking theatrical, man. This is like a scene out of a movie. Like, they're in this fucking dump, a junkyard. And, like, there's all these packages, these fucking body parts. It's fucking wild. Like, they should make this a movie. There was one movie, dude, it was like, fucking, it looked terrible. It was like, it wasn't even about Kingsbury Run. It was like a copycat killer 70 years later, and it looked really fucking bad. And I refused to watch it. I'm not fucking doing it. We're already towards the end. It's too fucking late. I'm not doing it. Ugh. So, they brought the remains to the coroner, and he believed this was another female victim between the ages of 40 and 50. And she was in a very advanced state of decomposition, which made it very tough that he couldn't even find organs. It was hard to tell if the organs were removed or they just decomposed. Something interesting about this makeshift box is it was made from a couple of bulk food boxes put together. These boxes only arrived in the area a few months ago, before the body was discovered. But she was killed much longer before any of that happened, which means she could have been killed and held somewhere before being brought to this area, which is the most likely scenario. This really ramped up the idea that he has somewhere that he's doing this, like somewhere safe that he can do all this dismemberment without anyone noticing. So this dump area became like a fucking tourist attraction. Fuck, I can't talk. I'm sorry, guys. Became a tourist trap. People were coming from all over the place to check out the fucking junkyard and this fucked up scene. And this one couple, you know, they're checking everything out. They're like, oh, look, Jimmy, look at the bodies. Oh, wow. Oh, Carol. Oh, isn't that something? Yeah. Well, anyway, so they noticed a horrible smell coming from a nearby drain pipe. And when he looked, he noticed there were human bones in there. We have a second body at the same scene. Classic butcher. So when the investigators gathered what they found, it was a pelvis vertebrae, and in a can next to it, a pelvis and vertebrae, and in a can next to it was a human skull. The coroner couldn't get much from this. I mean, it's skeletal, but he could determine that it was a male from the ages of 30, 40 years old, and he believed that he was dead at least 7 to 9 months. And he also determined that the skull had a broken nose. So remember the first body they found, this dude was wrapped in a quilt. So they put a picture of the quilt on the newspaper and spread it everywhere, which led to a bunch of, like, bullshit tips. Like, one guy said, oh, I had it and I sold it to this guy. Well, I sold this guy, you know, and, like, a bunch of people started calling in tips about shit they saw or shit they heard or shit they found. The only interesting thing I could find is one guy said he found a fucking tin box full of hair. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? But, you know, other than that, you know, nothing's coming up, man. But, you know, like I said earlier, Elliot Ness and his little homie, Robert Chamberlain, they're doing their little sideways private investigating. And you know what? We're about to get to something big. The suspect. The main suspect in this whole motherfucking thing. Not even a butcher. I was fucking wrong. We'll be right back. We're back. I had to go take a fucking shit. So, you're probably wondering, who the fuck is this suspect? Is he a butcher? Because you've been talking shit about butchers the whole fucking time. Jimmy, well, guess what? I lied. I fucking lied. I'm a liar. Alright, so check this out. My man Elliot Ness and their homies were doing sideways investigation the whole time. And they were like, look, we've had a suspect the whole time. We just couldn't say nothing. Who is this, you might ask? Dr. fucking X. Yes, that's what they call him, Dr. X. That's not a Marvel character. This isn't Professor X's fucking Dollar General version. This is what they called the man. And you're probably wondering, who the fuck is Dr. X? Do we have a name? Yes, we do. Francis Edward Sweeney. He was 44 years old. He had grown up near Kingsbury Run. He served as a medic in World War II, where he received a head injury and was subject to gas attacks, which left him all fucked up to the point where he was discharged from psychosis from the army. He also had a condition called alcoholic neurosis, which means the nerve endings in his hands and feet were always in pain, constantly burning. And he used to take this out on his wife and his loved ones all the time. He was also using office space on Broadway Avenue, which is a mile from Kingsbury Run. And it was right next to a fucking funeral parlor, bro. Well, so they're looking into this guy for like the whole time, but they never said anything. In 1933, his wife had a petition to have him institutionalized because he was beating on her. He went to a mental institution called the Cleveland City Institution, and he spent a few days there. And guess who was an orderly there? Edward Andrassy, one of our first victims. And in 1934, his wife left him, which is the same year that the Lady of the Lake was discovered. Elliot and the gang were convinced that this guy was the guy, but they had no physical evidence. He also had a cousin named Martin Sweeney, who was a congressman, who totally hated Elliot Ness because of the prohibition shit, and Elliot and the dudes were kind of low-key scared to go after Dr. X, Sweeney. So this is where things get gnarly. I mean, things have already been gnarly, but they're about to get a little bit more gnarly. So my man Elliot is pissed. He knows who the butcher is, but he can't do shit about it. So he's like, I gotta fucking do something about this. I need to do something fucking crazy. So 2 days after the last body was found, just after midnight, Elliot Ness and 25 armed officers surrounded Kingsbury Run and raided it. And when I say raided, I mean invaded, like fucking barbarian style. They came in there with fucking crowbars and sticks and all types of crude weapons, knocking down doors, pulling people out of their homes, beating them in the streets, being aggressive, arresting anyone that they thought might have any type of connection with the butcher whatsoever. It was fucking bananas, man. And then, just to top it all off, bro, Elliot Ness ordered the fire department to burn Kingsbury Run down. Like, he set all these little shanty shacks on fire. Jesus Christ, man. So he literally burned it to the ground. Not even figuratively, like literally burned it to the ground. I mean, I don't know what homie thought he would accomplish, but I will kill everyone so the Mad Butcher can't. Like, I guess that was his fucking plan. I don't know. So nothing came from this, dude. Like, they didn't figure nothing out. Like, he beat up all these people, arrested all these people, set all these fires, and, like, didn't get shit out of it. Didn't get any new leads. Didn't get shit. He just looks like a big fucking asshole. Well, the murder stopped around this time, and not for that reason. I'll get to that in a moment. But check this out. This is interesting. So, a little bit after the murders were over, a Cleveland postman found a letter in the dead letters area that was addressed to the chief of police of Cleveland, dated 1938. I'm going to read it to you real quick. Chief of Police Madowitz, you can rest easy now, as I have come out to sunny California for the winter. I felt bad for operating on those people, but science must advance. I shall astound the medical profession, a man with only a DC. What did their lives mean? In comparison, diseased, twisted bodies, just laboratory guinea pigs found on any public street. No one will miss them. And I never failed. My last case was successful. I know now the feeling of Thoreau and other pioneers. Right now, I have a volunteer who will absolutely prove my theory. They call me Butcherer, but the truth will be out. And once here, that body has not been found and never will be. But the head, minus the features, is buried on Century Boulevard between Western and Crenshaw. I feel it is my duty to dispose of the bodies as I do. It is God's will not to let them suffer. Signed, Dr. X. Wild, man. So, they found this after the bullshit. And in 1938, our man Sweeney checked himself into a mental institution right around the time the murder stopped. So, his wife leaves him, 1934, the murder stopped. He checks himself into the mental institution, 1938, murder stopped. Oh, and check this. My man Sweeney was sending Elliot Ness postcards, weird postcards, every day, until the day he died at the age of 64. Cleveland Ripper, the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, remains unsolved to this day. Now, there's a theory, and I'm about to jump into that. It's called the Black Dahlia fallacy. Let me pull this up for you. Sorry. I have it here somewhere, I swear. It's somewhere. This is ridiculous. I have it. Okay, here it is. Haha. I found it. So, if you remember, the butcher sent that letter and he was saying he was in California. Chilling, doing whatever the fuck he does, right? Now, I know you've heard of the Black Dahlia murder. I know you have. So, I'm gonna read to you this little, article called The Black Dahlia Fallacy. Okay, so finally, the butcher of Kingsbury Run is sometimes attributed to the Black Dahlia murder in California in 1947. A cursory examination of the crime scene and victimology will dispel that rumor. Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, was 22-year-old aspiring actress. She was found in Los Angeles Park, bisected just below the navel. She was displayed shockingly nude with deep lacerations to her face. By examining just this information, the butcher of Kingsbury Run can be exonerated. Short was killed by someone who knew her enough to be enraged by her. Hence the face lacerations. Young aspiring actress is a far cry from the near homeless, sometimes prostitutes that the butcher favored, and Short's age is much younger. The butcher's victims were. There is no dismemberment of the limbs as well, unlike the butcher. So, I've heard a lot of people say that, the Mad Butcher committed the Black Dahlia. He did not. It looks good on paper, man. It's in the same time area. It's in the same time, you know what I mean? The limbs, you know what I mean? There was dismemberment, but it's not him, bro. As great as that sounds, as cool as that would fucking be, it's not my guy. It's not Dr. X. It's not the dude. Well, that was the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, part fucking 2. Stay tuned, we're gonna do a fat dad, my fat dad, that piece of shit. We're gonna do a fat dab, some shout outs, some updates. I fucking love you guys. Before we get to the ending, I forgot one little thing, one very important thing. Fuck you, Steven Seagal, you big dumb bitch. Come find me, fight me. I hate you. You're fucking stupid. I hate your face. I hate your dumb fucking ponytail. I hate your goatee. You're a fucking dumb bitch. Anyway, hail Scabby Man, I love you. Let's continue. Well, goddamn it, that's a whole lot of fucking body parts, bruh. 12 victims in, man. Heads, fucking balls, hams, all the stuff. Let's do this dab. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you had as much fun listening as I did doing it. I love this shit. More gore. I love doing the gory shit. This is my shit. Fuck yeah. Let's do a big ass motherfucking dab in honor of the Mad Butcher. They never caught Homie. They never caught Dr. X. Homie spent the rest of his days in a mental institution talking shit to the guy who couldn't get to him. Fucking crazy. Let's fucking go. Hell yeah, dude. Alright. Scoop it in there. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. So we got another Violent Radio coming after this. And I'm going to throw a poll up on the Twitter. See what the next case is going to be. It's going to be between cryptid, haunting, and another third thing. I don't know yet. We're going to switch it up. I don't know. I kind of want to do an episode about duendes, man. I have been going down a duendes rabbit hole. If you don't know what duendes is, a Mexican cryptid. It's like this little doll, like a little goblin, and it lures children into the woods. My grandma told me a fucking terrifying story when I was a kid about duendes. I kind of want to save it for the episode. I want to tell you right now, but I'm going to save it. Look up duendes. Duendes, man. They got some crazy TikToks. Personally, hit me up. I will send you fucking hundreds of duendes TikToks. I've been fucking going crazy on that shit. Ask my fucking man. Ask my man JRK. He knows. I've been fucking sending him all this shit. But yeah, dude. So, I don't know what the next episode is going to be. We're going to vote on it. All the homies get to vote. It's going to be swag. Let's do the shout-outs. I'm gonna fucking, first and foremost, Logan and the fucking New Generation Network on Twitch. Go check them out for 2K Wrestling Action, the video game. It's fucking a lot of fun. I'm always in the chat, hanging out. Come fucking talk to us. Come fucking hang out, man. Come fucking chill. Check out Travis and the Hibiki TMD for game reviews, and Horrors of Hibiki for deep dives on horror movies. I fucking love those videos. Go check those out. Yeah, man, Double Count Out Pod on Spotify and other places for fucking AEW wrestling, shit. Yeah, man, fucking worldofrats.org, my boy Troy. Go check them out for fucking, all types of content, man. You just, like, if you name it, you'll find it over there, man. Go check out their shit. I hope to be a contributor. I hope to be a contributor on that website eventually. We're getting better equipment, man. We're buying better stuff, man. Like you know, I'm 3 gremlins in a fucking trench coat in a shack. We're trying to get a better shack, so it'll be fucking dope. All right, I'm gonna name off these fucking pieces of shit real quick that I call my fucking my cults. Michael D, Dr. Cryptox, Ryan G, Jerry Bebe, my boy Heath, Space Cowboy, Dupe Supreme, your local heel, Derp Lord the motherfucking Magnificent, Wubby Man, Mr. Morbid, my guy, Tom Doesn't Care, Undead Media, Smokey McLeod, the original Stoner King, Nicholas Ray, you piece of shit, Henry Strawlins, my boy Mike, and Jimmy. Wait, that's me. I'm Jimmy. Fuck yeah. So yeah, that's about it, man. I'm gonna throw up the poll here in a little bit. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know, I'm really high. Much love. This has been Jimmy Pukes with the Bad Taste Pod 666. Go fuck yourself and choke on it.
This has been